Welcome back to the Worth Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Erika Worth, and this is episode number 13. I am on a mission to help you cultivate lifelong healing through body partnership. Over the next several weeks, I'm going to give you an overview on what exactly the body partnership principles are and how you can implement them in your everyday life. The first principle is embrace your body as friend. This is about so much more than simply self-improvement. When we are able to show up as our wholest selves in the world, we invite others to do the same. As I heard earlier this week, Mark Grove says, there is no shortcut to healing. The shortcut is doing the work. And so I invite you to come into this next 12-ish minutes with an open heart, with the readiness to face your feelings and to invite them to just be there with yourself and what you're feeling, however you're showing up today. I think oftentimes we start when we have a relationship dynamic that's bringing us pain, we start at the wrong place. We read the relationship blogs, we buy the relationship books, we go to couples therapy, when really it would do us a great deal of benefit to first take a look at our own relationship to ourselves. Is it characterized by kindness and consideration and sensitivity? And if not, could it be that that is the place we need to start if we're going to begin to heal our external relationships? So that's just a little bit of what we're going to talk about in this episode. So I invite you to buckle up and let's go. Our success at forming meaningful relational partnerships in life is directly related to our ability to partner with our own bodies. And the first of the body partnership principles we will discuss today is embrace your body as a friend. Cultivating a lifelong partnership with your body begins with gently taking pulse on the current relationship. Have you checked the vital signs lately? What are the vital signs, you might ask, indicative of a thriving relationship with the body? Here are a few. Your body is allowed to feel what it feels. No feeling is off limits. You haven't black sheeped any emotion. You're allowed to feel the range of them all. Also, you're familiar with your body's unique way of communicating with you its needs and preferences. You know what it feels like to be tired in your body. You know what it feels like to be hungry. You know what it feels like to be scared or to feel uncertain or afraid. Next, your daily routine, nutritional framework, approach to movement, and relational connections align with your personal values and bio-individuality. Meaning you haven't built your life on what others say you should value. You've actually taken a hard look at the systems and the patterns and the values you've been raised in, maybe in a family environment or in your cultural context, and you've evaluated whether or not they align with who you want to be going forward. Do they reflect the kinds of family dynamics you want in your next, in the family you create? Is it reflective of what you want to accomplish in your career? You've actually taken time to consider what it is you want out of life and who you want to become, and do the value system that you've been living according to, does it actually make sense in light of your specific goals and your physical and psychological makeup and where you're headed in life? So here's a question to consider in relation to identifying those vital signs indicative of a healthy partnership with our bodies. When emotions start to rise and feel too big and scary, or the timing is inconvenient, what is your response? And if you're not sure, I invite you to consider how you respond when others bring to you these emotions that feel big and scary, or the timing of them being unloaded or unleashed seems inconvenient, because oftentimes our ability and the way that we show up in those situations is closely related to our ability to hold space for our own emotions. I know for myself, when I notice I'm getting uncomfortable with someone expressing an emotion that feels very large, it's oftentimes because I have somewhere along the line created a rule for myself that that's not something I'm supposed to feel or I'm allowed to feel, like anger, for instance. So it seems unfair and I'm almost resentful. Like, why can they express such a big emotion? But, in my rules, I'm not allowed to have anger, angry feelings. So there's that phenomenon, but then there's also the other side of the spectrum where we are able to extend grace and empathy and consideration to others who come to us with emotional pain, but there's some sort of disconnect and we're not able to extend that to ourselves. So let's imagine a close friend confides in you something and they have this heaviness in their heart. You can see it physically taking a toll on them as they're trying to release a vulnerability to you. You might ask them if they'd like to sit down in your comfiest chair, and you give them a blanket to wrap up in and a hot cup of coffee or tea. Have you ever thought about why you might do this and why it's effective? I know I've received this kind of love and care and extended it to others and know that it is truly comforting. Could it be that this sense of being held and cradled, wrapped up in warmth, can help to take the edge off the soul aches and pains that get twisted up within us all? We all have some untwisting to do. When your body speaks, do you offer it the same grace? Do you extend your sacred space to it within which to find rest and reprieve? What does it even mean to extend sacred space to your body? In the work of building conscious relationships, there's this concept of holding space for another. It's basically creating the capacity for them to offer the truth of what they're feeling, thinking, and experiencing in their inner world, while simply being there, non-reactive to the occurring feedback. We practice and master this first with our own bodies, allowing them to give feedback without reacting or trying to shut down the messages that we're receiving, without judging or labeling or silencing. How will you know when your body is trying to speak to you so that you are able to create the space for it to release the accumulated emotions we so often collect along the path of life on a daily basis? Well, you have to know the language of the body. Mark Groves, a relationship and communication coach, shared on the Evolving Man podcast this piece of wisdom he learned from his therapist. She said, quote, "A lot of emotion is pre-verbal. When we're experiencing a feeling, it doesn't have language because we didn't have language when it happened," end quote. The language of the body is often inaudible. It speaks in emotions, in insomnia, sensations, fatigue, headaches, achy muscles, and indigestion, to name a few. These are the body's ways of sharing its vulnerabilities. When we are living in partnership with the body, our comfy chair I talked about earlier, so to speak, is always open when it needs to talk. So where do you start? How do you create this atmosphere of sacred space for your body? Well, the next time your body begins to share with you this vulnerable message, pause for a moment. Honor this opportunity to get to know one another deeper. You might say, "This looks important. Would you like to sit down and let me know about what's going on? I'm here for you. What sort of space do you need to feel safe, body? Do you need a hot bath? Do you need a walk around the block? Do you need to sit down? Do you need to lie down? It's once again being able to recognize your body's unique needs and preferences and create a space for it where it feels like it's able to let go and release what's stuck. Then, once the noise has been quieted, you're giving your undivided attention to the needs of the body. You're able to hear what it has to say. I invite you then to scan from head to toe. Is there anything that feels tense or is clenching? What part of the body is the message coming from? Identify that. Notice that. When you know how to extend this level of care and kindness to your body, it is easier to extend it to others. Not easy, but easier. You don't take the feelings of others as personally because you understand it's simply their body's messaging system relaying important information. You can help others grow more comfortable with engaging with their emotions because you're no longer pushing aside your own. This work of healing your relationship with your body inspires environments where your feelings are not feared, but rather seen as opportunities to grow in greater body intelligence. And when we step into full body awareness, when we give our emotions the space they need to be heard and seen and acknowledged rather than judged, shamed, labeled, and black sheeped, if that's even a word, we invite others to create the same for themselves. And when we have that sense of safety within, when we are able to tap into our own body's intelligence, it impacts the way we show up for one another and our ability to hold space for them to feel their big feelings. Because instead of it causing this reaction in us of, like I talked about earlier, that resentment because you've somehow created a rule for yourself where you aren't allowed to feel certain feelings. Instead, you're able to, you know what? Like, I know what that's like to feel angry. You know what it's like because you've actually felt angry before. And it's okay. It's a feeling we move through. It's this opportunity to help others feel safe to journey through their emotional valley because you know how to find safety in as you've journeyed through your own. And so we're able to share that and create environments and relationships and families and communities and a world where healing is a way of life for everyone. We're all aware of the impact that suppressing emotions has on our well-being and have decided to do something different. So as we continue to unpack the body partnership principles, this being the first, I just invite you to look at your own life, take an inventory on your current relationship to your body. And are there any areas or any of the vital signs that you feel like need specific attention, and to make time and to create time, undivided attention to give to that specific area. All right. Thanks, friends. I'm so glad you tuned in to the Worth Wellness podcast today. If you want to support our efforts to continue to bring great content to you week after week, please leave us a review and subscribe to the channel. You can also directly support the show following the link in the notes below. You can find me on Instagram, Worth Wellness by Erika, or if you want individualized support on your personal health journey, you can send me an email, worthwellness@gmail.com, and I would love to connect with you. All right, it's been a pleasure, friends. Stay well, live inspired, and keep learning.